All right, welcome back to the Two Comma Club podcast. Today I'm here with Victor. Victor, if you wouldn't mind kind of giving everybody a little bit of background as to your business and what it is that you do, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, so for the last 12 years, a bit more, I've been helping people how to craft their messaging and package their knowledge into digital assets, such as courses, membership sites, and high-ticket programs like coaching groups, masterminds, all this kind of stuff.
That's awesome. I love it. So tell me a little bit about the background as to how it is that you got into this space and found yourself doing what you're doing today.
Okay, so I used to be a lawyer in a previous life. So it's been like several years ago, but I didn't like it. I didn't choose to be a lawyer. It was like a request of my family. So I could pick whatever profession I'd love, if it was like law school, medicine school, or engineering, right? Those were the only three options. And then
Classic.
I stick to law because I always like to be on arguments and I'm very communicative. So, yeah, it was the less worse option, maybe. And then I did that. It was 5 years. And then I sit the bar exam, which is like in Brazil, like the same as the bar exam, to become like an actual lawyer. But I didn't like it at all. So I didn't exactly pick that or choose that, but I decided that I would change the world on law. But then I realized that the biggest chances would be that this world changed me. Does it make sense? And
Yeah.
then I realized that it wasn't my world, it wasn't my thing. Then I decided to break free. So I had to create something different. I was struggling to find a way. So I tried everything you can imagine online, affiliates. I tried to sell other people's stuff. I tried to find a way to do stuff. And I'm in Brazil, right? So we're back to 2012. So there wasn't much of options or possibilities, right? No one was exactly doing anything like proven in Brazil in Portuguese. And then I started looking online and trying to find options and possibilities. And then I started subscribing to everyone's newsletter to try to acknowledge and recognize patterns and try to see that if something repeats, like a kind of language or a pattern repeats, oh, maybe this works. And then someone tries something once and then vanished, oh, maybe it didn't work. And I was trying to reverse engineering it all. I was trying to grasp what was possible, and I couldn't find much. But then a guy from Brazil licensed Jeff Walker's PLF. You know Jeff Walker?
I
So
feel like I've heard the name, but remind me.
yeah, the guy created Product Launch Formula, PLF, which is
That
the
sounds familiar.
first like program on creating launches, like video one, two, three, and then sales video, this kind of sideways sales ladder. And a guy licensed that to Brazil and started teaching that for the first time. And then say, hey, finally someone's teaching a framework, like a step-by-step process that I can just buy and follow. And that's what I did. So back in 2012, I partnered up with my guitar teacher and we created the first online guitar course in Brazil, and it was a huge success. So that's how I started back in 2012.
That's awesome. I love that story. I actually have a buddy of mine who I believe is also in Brazil doing a guitar course, which is perfect.
Really?
That's wild.
Who?
His name is Den Lopez. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No. Then
Do you know Bart Miller?
no,
Okay, no worries. Anyway,
I'm not.
so
I'd love you to introduce us both because it's the
yeah,
same
for
background.
sure. I'd be
Yeah.
happy
So
to.
so
That'd be really
we
cool.
went from 0 followers to 140,000 followers on Facebook when that meant something. I'm talking 2012 to 2013. So it was a huge success. And we got a couple of hundred of paying clients. So for me, it was like a dream come true that finally I could make profit out of something that I love. So not law anymore. And that was very refreshing. And then I started being an affiliate of this program. So I started selling the same program that I bought as an affiliate. So the first launch, I sell 8 copies and then 30 copies. And there was a launch where I sold more than 130 copies of PLF Brazil. And by being an affiliate, I offer two bonuses. I offer one-on-one consultation with me, and I offer a group. So I had a group of the alumni, people that run through the course through my link. And I also offer one-on-one consultation. So I had to be a good student because of my mentees, those people who bought through my link. I was obliged to step up and to stay sharp. So I was a really good student because I really wanted to deliver results for those people that trusted me. Does it make sense?
100%.
So
It's
that's
fantastic.
how I started leading groups, and that's how I started consulting those people.
I love that. You're able to switch from a lane that you weren't passionate about to something you were passionate about and figure out how to monetize it in a way that made sense for you and what you had going on. So
Yeah.
in the timeline of events, it sounds like you went from that to now you're doing more mentoring for mentors, as I see from your Instagram. So
Yes.
help me understand how that transition took place.
So first, I did the guitar course with my teacher, and then I got the first results. And then I started selling the same program that I bought as an affiliate. And then I got a pretty huge following. So I had more than 500 people enrolling this program. So that's the group that I started to lead. And because I got so great results as an affiliate, I decided to teach other people how to be affiliates, and I ran the affiliate summit in Brazil. So we did 3 versions. So affiliate summit 1, 2, and 3 in Brazil. The name is Congresso de Afiliados, which is affiliate summit, but in Portuguese, but totally not related to the brand affiliate summit in US, right? It was
Hmm.
the biggest online event on affiliate marketing. We had on the third version more than 60 speakers, people from Brazil, but also from Russia, from France, from US. So it was a huge event. And that thing grew my list because we used a funnel, which was something like for that week, we would stream the presentations live, not exactly live, but we do like a streaming on a given time, right? There was an agenda and a schedule, and then they could attend and watch it all for free. But if they missed one of or some of the presentations, they could buy the VIP, the golden access, or something like that. So it was like a freemium. It was free to watch live ish, but if they want to have the replays forever, they could pay a premium. So that's how I started. That's how I did my first 6 figures. So that's how I felt like I was in business with my image, with my face, right?
Hmm.
And that was good for a while. But I realized, and I don't know how is it in US, but I realized that in Brazil, if you grow results as an affiliate, you only have two possible futures. Either you fell in love for people above money, and if you do fall in love for people above money, you end up being an info producer yourself. You end up creating your own stuff instead of just selling other people's stuff and being an affiliate. So sooner or later, you become a producer, a product owner, an offer owner. I don't know how you call it. But if you value money over people, sooner or later, you become a scammer. That's what I realized in Brazil. So people who are more interested on the ROAS, ROI, and the money part of thing, and they are a bit, um, I don't know, sociopath about people.
Yeah.
They end up promoting the offer that converts the best or pays the most, and most of the times those offers are not the most healthy ones. Does it make sense at all, John?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I love that because it really goes to show one of the important characteristics that an individual like yourself who's seen success has, where it's like it's not a matter of focusing on the dollars, it's a matter of focusing on the actual relationships with the people and genuinely helping them. So
Yeah,
that's huge.
we're all profit oriented, but me and my people, we are more interested on the transformation we create on other people's lives than the transformation we bring to our pockets. We believe both are important, but if we had to pick one, which we don't, we can have both. But if we had to pick one, people first. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I
And
love
what
that.
I realize is that if an affiliate is people first, they become an info producer. If they're money first, they become sooner or later scammers. That's what I experienced. So I realized that it would be healthier for my business if instead of teaching all the affiliates and having a lot of trouble trying to educate them, I should just wait and see if they differentiate. If they are gonna decide to be info producers, I take care of them. If they decide to do sneaky things, I just don't touch them. So I killed the brand. I stopped working totally with affiliates and started working only with people that own brands, people who were
Mm.
creating their own courses, people who were creating their own group coaching, their own masterminds. So those are the people that I decided to serve.
That's awesome. I want to learn more about what it is exactly that you do to serve those individuals, because this is something that's, I think, really cool and really important. Like at the end of the day, the most important thing is communication and making sure that you have that message appropriate for the different viewers so you can reach the right audience. Because if you're stuck with the wrong audience, it's a whole can of worms you don't want to have to deal with. So, yeah, if
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind kind of telling me what that looks like, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. So it depends. I've been very well known in this market for the last like 4 years or so when I narrowed down and niche down for coaching mentors. So in Brazil they say a mentor for mentors. It's not that I'm the mentor of the mentors. It's just that I'm the mentor of the mentors. So whoever is mentoring someone, I help them craft their messaging, their offer, their packages, their pricing, their structure. I help them create the coaching program in a way that they feel happy with it and don't kill the program, because that's what some people end up doing, right? They get overwhelmed and stuff. And I help them create in a way that it's not heavy, it's lightweight, it's something that they can take for life. So some of my clients, they run like proper businesses with like several employees and stuff. Me myself, I have 30 plus people team, but it wasn't like that in the beginning. So I did my first $800,000. I had four people in my team. So it was a very lean business, right? And then we grow to 20 people, and that's when we grow to $4 million a year. So it was a very huge step. It was very it was a very decisive moment in my life because I really like the lifestyle thing, right? The I must confess, in some portions, I'd had her the way it was before. When I had like four people doing $800,000 and a far bigger margin, my life was easier. Does it make sense?
It
So
makes total sense.
I know some people only share the good stuff, right? I
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
share the good and the ugly as also. Because here's
The
the
real
deal.
stuff. Yeah.
I'm very good at some stuff, but I'm very terrible at other stuff. So I don't see myself as a manager at all. So that's a funny part. I hired my ex boss. Remember back on the law firm days, I
Yeah.
used to be an intern and I had this boss. And I hired her so that she could help me out being a bit bossy with me because I was a rebel. I was so young and I was doing more than I ever expected or dreamed of. So I always speak about the financial freedom, like money freedom, but also time freedom and geographical freedom, like freedom of whatever I want to work from. So that's how I visited more than 50 countries. That's how I travel so much. And I was a nomad. I did it all these kind of things, right? And if you just cut to today, I'm married for a year and almost 2 years. Now I have a daughter, a baby daughter. She's 10 months today, just turned 10 months.
That's awesome.
So everything changed so much, right? And now I have like a 30 people team. So I didn't exactly plan or design this way. Things just kept on happening. Does it make sense? I think
Definitely.
that thriving, this thing like thriving, maybe someone could say I'm thriving. For some people, it's something they planned so much. That's not my case. I just stick with the values and the principles, and just kept on doing the same. So people ask me, "Hey Victor, what's new? What's different?" I say, "Hey, nothing is new. I've been doing the same stuff like since forever." But when you do the same stuff over and over again, the compound effects of it starts to kick in. Does it make sense? And
Yeah.
now I'm being able to profit from stuff that I did 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. For instance, I run a mastermind. We just
Hmm.
did the 30th event, 30,
Wow.
like 30.
That's amazing.
So 3 events a year for 10 years. So there are not a lot of people. There's not a lot of people doing the same stuff for that long. Does it make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, for sure. You've got a lot of expertise there and experience, which is really huge. So I'm going to take this on a side tangent really quick and dive into the mastermind stuff. I'm really interested to know like what got you interested in starting a mastermind, and then right at the very beginning, how did you go about acquiring the first few people in there and setting up that first event? Tell me a little bit about that
Okay.
experience.
Yeah, I do remember. It was 10 years ago. And let's go raw on that, really raw. So I have this mentor of mine. His name is Erico. So he's the guy who licensed PLF to Brazil. And something that always annoyed me is that I didn't want to be seen as a mini Erico. And it was hard not to because I was one of his top affiliates. He completely changed my life. So it's like I'm so bought into that idea, and I'm so grateful. And my life completely changed because of the guy, that it was very hard to me not to look like him. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
not that I didn't, not that I wanted to, but I didn't put so much effort on not looking like him, because my main business was to promote his business. So
Hmm.
for a couple of years, my main thing would be supporting his launches. So it was very hard to find my thing, to find my space.
Yeah.
And I joined his mastermind when he just started. And one of the hot seats, I don't know if people listening to this, if they are aware or understand what is a mastermind, but is a group of people with a clear goal. Like they're like-minded people wanting to grow. That could be an easy way to describe it, right? And
Hmm.
on those kind of groups, we hang out, we get to network together and stuff, networking. And also, we are supposed to bring whatever's working so that everyone learns with everyone. But also, we are allowed to bring a problem, like a challenge, something that is being hard, right? So I remember that I brought to his mastermind my challenge. So my challenge was I didn't have a clear positioning, and I don't want to be seen as a mini Erico, like a small Erico at all. So what the group end up teaching me and advising me, and even Erico, is that if I didn't want to be a small mini Erico, I should be a big Erico then. It was a bit funny because
I
in
love that.
Brazil they don't say mini Erico or big Erico. They say Ericozinho or Ericuzão. And in Portuguese, there is a pun on that, like pun intended, and it's a bad
Hmm.
one. But it doesn't
Oh.
matter. In English, that wouldn't work. But yeah, if someone from Brazil's, yeah, it was funny. So after that meeting, the group and my mentor advised me to create an offer, high ticket one, a high ticket offer. So I end up charging more than my mentor because of positioning. Because he's number one in Brazil, and he's been number one for the last like 10 years or more. And if I can't be as big as he is, and this is not my game, I'm not trying to. My solution, my way out was to have less like amounts of people, but charging more.
Mm.
And that's how I end up doing the mastermind offer. And at the meantime, there was a guy called Andre Parabellum.
Hmm.
And do you know Andre by any chance?
I do not. No.
So he was number one on info business, like internet marketing on Russia. So the guy
Mm.
was huge. Like he completely controlled the info space in Russia. Like All the top players were their clients, were his clients, and he created the info business in there. Sadly, he passed away
Oh,
2022 or one because of
yeah. My
COVID.
condolences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I miss a friend, I miss a mentor. But before passing away, before
Hmm.
dying, he changed the world because he taught his framework, which he calls Sparta. So
Hmm.
you know Sparta. This is Sparta.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he created the Sparta launch. So basically, it uses reverse polarity to make your
Okay.
clients prove themselves to you. So instead of you trying to sell your clients, you reverse polarity so that they fight for a seat on your thing, on your mastermind.
Hmm.
So that's the way I decided to do. Some people would say that to sell high ticket, you need to have like a live event, or as Russell does, right? And it works.
Yeah.
I use
Hmm.
that. I do my own events and stuff. It works. But back in 2014, I didn't want to do my own event. I was running a very lean team. I didn't even want to touch it at all. So I use my mail list. So I
Hmm.
have this mail list for more than 10 years now. And then I shoot this Sparta email. So what is the Sparta offer? Is just an like awesome offer, something very exclusive, very sexy, and very well positioned. But you don't use a VSL, you don't use a sales video, you don't do like a webinar, nor have like closers and setters and people to. It's something different. Instead of using all this enchilada, you just use a Google form, like like
Hmm.
the survey thing. So
Yeah.
you just position this, and you can use the email for that as something exclusive that a lot of people are seeing, but just a small bunch of people would be allowed in. Cool. And
Yeah.
then you ask if they want in, and if they do, they have to fill an application. On that application, you ask for their names, contact info such as email, phone. And now I ask for an Instagram handler, but back then there was no Instagram. But yeah. And then we ask four questions. And the first question is, why do you think this is the right program for you? When you ask this, instead of you trying to sell the program to your clients, they're selling the program to themselves. And this is the craziest part. You don't even explain much of the program. You just say you have something and it's sexy and exclusive and not for everyone. And then you ask them, why do you think this is for them? Cool?
Yeah.
This is question number one. Question number two, why do you think you are the right fit for the program? So, amongst all people that are interested in, why should I pick you? And then they start selling themselves to you. And that's where the reverse polarity kicks in. People start saying stuff like, well, I'm very coachable. If I have a plan, I know how to follow a plan. So I've been following you for a while. You already inspire me and I'm already grateful. So they start selling why they should be the right pick. Cool. Third
Yeah.
question. So the financial investment for this is X. Can you afford it right now? Yes or no? This question is important because if they say no, they're saying no to themselves. You don't need to go back on the pricing. So some people do lots of strategic calls and stuff, and they end up losing a lot of time talking to unqualified prospects, right? But remember, back in 2014, I didn't have like a huge team. I didn't have time to waste with tire kickers and freebie seekers or cheapo people at all. So instead of just hiding the price as if the surprise would make them buy, as people do nowadays, I would just show the price on the form. Some people would say no. Actually, most people would say no, and some people would say yes. And here's the deal, those people who'd say yes to the price, they're pretty closed. You don't need to do salesy shifts or framing or blah, blah, blah. The form itself closes them. Does it make sense?
Yeah. That's
And the
awesome.
fourth question, which is very important, but some people overlook is what must have happened after the end of the program so that you think it was worth it. So the fourth question is to manage expectations. So if someone comes with like a very high demand or exceptional expectations, you just ditch them and don't take them as clients. So that is like for you to just take the safe bet. Doesn't make sense.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
definitely.
I really believe that if there is a secret behind high ticket programs, the secret would be selecting the right people. When people mess up is when they start getting as much as clients as they can get, because at the beginning it's very hard to close, and then sooner or later you get good at it, right? And when you get good, it's very hard to stop the urge of taking as many clients as you can get, right? I've been there, so I know what I'm saying. And that's
Hmm.
when people start dropping the ball. Oh, this client, I don't know if he's the right fit. Oh, let's see. Let's say yes. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And then sooner or later, you have a group filled with a bunch of people that just shouldn't be there at all. And that's where people mess up. So
Yeah.
when I teach my people, I advise them strongly to don't use those four questions as a decoy or as a mise en scène or as like a part of a like a like a plot, like something fake. It's not fake
Hmm.
scarcity, it's not fake reverse polarity. It's just the reality. You're vetting your clients because you
Yeah.
can't afford to have the wrong people in because they're
Right.
messy. They're gonna mess up with your deliverables, they're gonna drain your energies, and the worst, they're gonna give you a bad name if you start taking people that don't get results. So instead of that, I advise my people to only work with AAA clients, only work with those they are very confident they can drive results. Because if they can't, it's better not touch them. Does it make sense?
Yeah, most definitely. I
I'm
think that
talking
was
too much,
something.
man. Am I?
No, you're doing great. You're here to drop value, and you're doing just that, man. You're doing great. I'm loving it. Um, I think one thing that I want to add to that, for people who are listening and have yet to have an experience where they've onboarded the wrong client, like what ends up happening after that is you realize very quickly in a very painful way that that is the wrong client, and you might find out that there were signs beforehand that you could have leaned into and been like, okay, maybe I don't need to be so scarcity mindset about this and have more of an abundance approach where it's like maybe you don't need to take on this one client even though you may need the money at this time because it could end up costing you more. Like I know one of my very first offers that I put out there, I was like building a website for somebody or something, and then they wanted 11 of them, and I boosted the price a bit, and then in the end they ended up doing a credit card chargeback on everything because they didn't like one tiny little detail, and there were signs ahead of time. And so that took me from, I put a couple grand into getting some help with the development and stuff, and then all the money back. And I think in the end, it was like I had lost like just $7,000 or something like that. So it was pretty significant at the time. It was not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally lean into that with you,
Yeah, but
in
but
that
that
mindset.
that what happened with you was good. Because
Hmm.
here's the deal, you could realize straight away, right? Well, they asked for they didn't just ask for the money back, they kind of stole back the money through a chargeback, right? Which should only be used
100%.
on fraud issues. So they
Yep.
called the bank pretending they didn't do the thing, so they're dishonest. Okay,
Hmm.
one thing is asking for a refund, another thing is issuing a charge back. I don't know in US, but in Brazil, the only way of doing that is to call the bank saying that someone committed fraud.
Yep.
But
100%.
if there's someone committing a fraud, it's the client, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So this is bizarre. But at least you realize straight away, and then you could fix it. Either the deliverables, if it was your problem, or if you have a part of this, a part of it, or your vetting process, right? So did you stop taking any kind of client and starting vetting more your people, or what?
Yeah, I started vetting a lot more. That was a very eye-opening experience, and
Cool.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to see that as a gift, because here's the deal: most of
Definitely.
coaches, that I'm not talking about failing coaches, those who are not thriving. I'm talking about those who are thriving. Most of those most of those coaches are taking in some clients they shouldn't, but they are not asking for a charge back. They're just not renewing 1 year later. And when they don't renew, they start being a mass of people that have done business with you, but can't share good words about you. So this hurts your brand throughout time far more than one chargeback. One chargeback is
Mm.
easy, right? But there
Yeah,
are some
definitely.
coaches out there who have hundreds of clients that did business with, but wouldn't buy again or wouldn't recommend. And the problem is not the coach. The problem is the client. But the coach took the wrong client. So I really do believe that if there is one way of getting high ticket sales wrong, is to not vetting the client. You must be precise. You must be very accurate and knowing who you should take in or not. And if you're in doubt, just say no. I teach my people, if you're not 100% confident, just say no. No for now. And when I say no, people may think it's something like, how can I say that, like I'm preventing them, or locking them out, or being aggressive. No, no, no. For me, when I say no, is an act of love. And I even tell them that, hey, I like money. I'd love to be paid, but I'm saying no, not because I don't like money or I don't like you. It's just that I'm not confident. I can't deliver results to you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm not taking you as a client, but I'm telling you exactly what I would if you were a client. So if I were on your shoes, I would do X, Y, and Z. Right? That's what I would advise you if I were working with you. If I took you as a client, here's what I would say: A, B, C. I'm not taking you as a client because I'm not 100% confident that I should or could take you or could drive you results. But A, B, C, those are the steps I would follow. Go, do that. And if you do that and get results, hit me back. Just shoot me a message, right?
Yeah.
And here's the deal: some of them do that, get results, and come back. When they come back with the results they got from my free coaching, I feel confident that they can follow structures, and they feel more confident that they follow what I teach, and it worked, right? So it's easier. So I had some clients that I said no to that came back, and I take them as clients, but most of them never came back, either because they didn't put into practice, or they just couldn't care less, or whatever. I don't care, because I don't have to spend time or energy on them, because I didn't take them as clients. And when I say, hey, if you're in doubt, if you're doubtful about taking someone, say no. When I say that, it's because it's always easier to then turn a no to yes than to have a client that you should say no to and take them, because this can be harmful for both the client and you.
Yeah, definitely. That's really sound advice, and I endorse that fully. Yeah, from personal experience and from others that I've seen make those same mistakes. Um, so I'm really interested uh, to know a little bit more along the lines of like how it is that you are able to find the leads or generate the leads that you've gotten throughout the years that you can then promote that offer to.
Okay, so this is the part of the secret that is a bit harder to deploy, or to copy and paste the strategy. Okay,
Hmm.
how long have you been into this game, this thing?
At least 4 years at this point. So
4 years.
yeah.
4 years.
Hmm.
So what if you could go back in time and start 12 years ago? Even if you're not awesome, but you start 12 years ago, even if you're not awesome, and even if you suck, but if you don't suck a lot, in 12 years, like range, in the 12 years period, most of people get out of business. So if you, even if you're not awesome, but you manage to stay alive for 12 years, it is a huge positioning. So this is the is not exactly duplicable, right? Because if you ask me, I was lucky enough to get into this game early enough, right? So
Hmm.
I didn't plan nor intended to be big ever. I was just doing my gig, my thing. I was just taking care of my people, my small group. My first eight became 32, then became 132, and then I had 500. And then suddenly I had 2.7 thousand people on my paid Facebook group. I didn't plan. I just kept on doing my thing for a lot of time. So again, it's the compound effect. So this is the moment where people would love to have like a gimmick, like a trick, a hack. Do your thing for 12 years, non-stop. Never piece people out. Always contribute. Never let people down. Don't take the wrong clients. For 12 years, and you're gonna get somewhere. So sorry, but this part is not exactly duplicable, like replicable. Is this a word? I guess it is.
Yeah,
So
replicable. Hmm.
yeah, so it's weird, and I'd love to have something more appealing or sexy.
Yeah.
But
So
still, there's some stuff I'm doing that I could share,
yeah,
but
yeah, that'd be
I
great.
I just don't want to pretend I don't have all this background in my favor. Does it make sense?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is what it gets funny because in Brazil I have such a huge following. I have 435,000 followers on Instagram. I have a 200,000 followers, subscribers, you say, right? On
Hmm.
YouTube, right? So yeah, I've been on the biggest stages. Actually, I had the blast to mentor some of the biggest names in Brazil, like all the good guys. But not because I'm awesome, even though some people think I am, and me and my mom, we also think. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not because I'm the fair play would be, it's not only because I'm awesome, but just because I'm here since forever. So I know that I profit a lot and take advantage of being old. I'm not that old. I'm 38, but what I'm saying, 12 years on the same route, serving the same people throughout time. This helps, right?
Hmm.
So if you ask me, how do I drive clients today? I can put in a nutshell. So 4 times a year, I run a launch. A launch is like Jeff Walker style, like video one, two, three, and then sales video. Sometimes I do it pre-recorded, and it looks like a challenge, like Russell does, like Pedro Adao does. Yeah, but there are more elements of Jeff Walker in that. Okay, 4 times a year I do this. In between launches, I run something I call waitlist on steroids. Because here's the deal: do you do launches at all, John, or more of fun?
Uh, I've done it a few times. As of recent, I've taken a little bit of a step back, and I'm trying to reposition myself. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love launches. I just think it's terrible to rely only on launches. Being launch
Hmm.
dependent is a very dangerous business model. So
Definitely.
I run launches 4 times a year, and those moments where I drive a lot of traffic, I invest a lot to get eyeballs, to get people's attention. Does it make sense? And that's how I
Hmm.
grow my YouTube channel as also, because I do those either live on YouTube or this thing that you schedule something to go live in a given time, but it's not exactly live. But then I lock the channel comments only for subscribers. So I buy a lot of traffic. They go there, they want to comment. For commenting, they have to subscribe. So maybe this is a thing so people
That's pretty cool.
could copy, right? So this works very well. But I run 4 cohorts of my program. I have a program called Vida de Mentor, which stands something like mentor life, like life of a mentor, because I teach how to create, sell, deliver, and scale high ticket offers. programs like group coaching, mastermind groups, this kind of stuff. I run 4 live cohorts of this, but in between cohorts, I keep on selling. So I don't close cards. I close the cohort. So if they buy in between cohorts, they get the replay of the previous cohort and they get the live experience of the next one. Cool.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
I have both the launch strategy and the evergreen strategy at the same time. So if you go to my webpage, either there's gonna be the like subscribe option for the next launch, or if we're in between launches, there's a wait list. But whoever ever tried a wait list, they know that wait list doesn't convert ever. It's a
Really?
waste of time, right?
Hmm.
It never works. But I created something I call waitlist on steroids, which is a regular waitlist. But instead of just asking for people name and email, I ask for their name, email, and phone number. And then I use the same 4 questions. You remember Andre's 4 questions?
Mhm.
Why do you think one of the seats should be yours? Why do you think this is the right program for you? Why do you think you are for the program? The price is X. What must have happened after the program so you think it's worth it? And then when someone fills the wait list on steroids and they look like the ideal client, I cherry pick them. I reach out to them and say, hey, it's closed to the market. But since you are the exact kind of client I can help, I'd like to know if you want in. And if you do, I have a link for you. 24 hours, you're in. We're going to see the replays of the last cohort and you're going to be on the next class. But you start straight away. You start right now. And then I sell a lot in between cohorts without breaking my word. Because if a stranger, if a foreigner, if some random dude tries to get in, they can't because it's closed to the market. Does it make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
It's very,
so that's how I roll. That's how I
yeah.
roll. But I also do two biggest events per year, like 500 people events. This is my maximum, 500 and a bit. Sometimes I
Mhm.
struggle to do that and get
And
300,
are these live
400.
events like in
I'm sorry?
person? Those
Yeah,
events, are
like in
those in
person.
person? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I love those. I don't want to do like all the time, but yeah, I do twice a year. And I convert a lot. Do you know Barry and Blue?
I don't think so.
They run a company called Sage, and even Russell Brunson hired them. They run events for Russell, for
Wait.
Tony
Okay,
Robbins.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it sounded familiar. They ran
Yeah,
FHL for a few years, didn't they?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm a client of them, and we are also friends because we met at Jeff Walker's mastermind. And since I started learning with her, dude, I started profiting a lot from my live events, like big time. So it was very important for me, and it still is. And during COVID, I pivoted everything for hybrid and first online and then back to hybrid. Dude, it was very important, and it still is on my strategy. And so twice a year, I do like those 400 to 500 people events, and other twice a year, I run a smaller, like 150 people event. So that's how I roll. And I have like a perpetual evergreen machine of getting good clients, which is my Instagram. I know that in US you guys don't use Instagram that much because culturally, maybe Brazilians, that's what I feel, right? We are more attached to Instagram. For you guys, Facebook is still a thing. In Brazil, it's almost dead for
Hmm.
business, but we are on Instagram. So Instagram would be something like maybe Facebook is for you guys. So we do a lot
Okay.
of stories and stuff like that. So here's the deal. I do some like a lot of videos. If you run through my feed and if you want to follow me, it's all in Portuguese though. It's Victor Damasio Oficial, but with one F because it's in Portuguese. Oficial. Maybe we can write down so people can
Yeah,
grasp
for
it.
sure.
Again, guys, it's in Portuguese, so you won't get much, but just to understand that, like the quality and the kind of videos and the cadence, like the how frequent I post. I post a lot. So now I have 435,000 followers. And here's the crazy part. I run some ads with like small video, just like introducing myself. Something like I can even do one right now. I will do in English, but it would be in Portuguese in my profile. I just grab my phone and say, "Hi, my name is Victor, and for the last 12 years or so, I've been helping people how to create, sell, deliver, and scale their high ticket offers, packaging their knowledge into digital assets as group coaching, mastermind groups, and stuff like that." So if you're seeing me for the first time, start following me because every day I share a bit of my 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 cases, my backstage on growing my business and my client's business. And whenever you're ready, shoot me a message so that I know what's your moment and what do you need help with. Cool? Easy peasy, 30 seconds. Sometimes I do like 1 minute. And then I do those as a reel, reels. And then I boost it. Of course, I have a team to laser target those and get fancy results, but sometimes I just me myself I go there and boost,
Yeah,
boost.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I let Instagram do its magic, right? Mark Zuckerberg is far more clever than both of us together, so he can find a way. And then I do that, and you can start with like $10 per day or whatever, just to grasp. And you know that saying, "Oh, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover." Have you ever heard that?
Oh
It's a
yeah.
lie. You actually should judge a book by its cover, right? At least I do that all the time, not only with books but also with people, right? So
Yeah.
I end up taking a look, like browsing around my new followers every day. So every day, I take a look at them. Most of them, take a look. Let's see. Marcilene. She has, I don't want to show here, but she just started
Yeah,
following
yeah,
me.
no worries.
She has like 500 followers. She doesn't have a link in bio. She doesn't have a professional picture. And her content is just like random quotes about anything. And there's no headline at all. So is she my ideal client? Nope. Nope. But Kami is another one. She just started following me now. She has 4.9 thousand followers, so 10 times more. So she has a following, right? She has a headline on the profile. She says in Portuguese, "I help entrepreneurs position their brands with authenticity and results. Branding, research, trends, mindset." Okay, so there's a headline, right? There's a link in bio. There's a link. And she's doing stories and she has like a professional profile. So can I judge her by the cover? Yes, I do. So if you see here, I never talked to her ever before, right? I don't know if you can see because it's a bit blurred, right?
Yeah.
But there's no message here at all. And I'm going to shoot her a message. Just give me 1 second. It's going to be in Portuguese and I'll translate straight away, okay? E
Yeah.
aí, Cami, tudo bom? Olha, eu vi que você começou a me seguir agora. Foi por causa do meu conteúdo ou é porque você quer ajuda para escalar o seu negócio digital? Take a look. I actually send the audio. Can you see? Can you see
Hmm.
it? So 8 seconds. What I ask is, "Hey, Kami, I saw you started following me. Is it because of the videos, because of the content, or you want to help scaling your digital business?" Right? So
Yeah.
this I learned from one of my mentors, Taki Moore, and then I perfect that with Dan Martell. You know Dan. So
Hmm.
there's a process called sell by chat, which I do a lot. So whenever she answers and replies back, she can say, "Oh, I'm just browsing around, just looking," and say, "Well, welcome." But some of them say, "Well, Victor, actually, I'd love to pick her brain on that. So I have this and then they start saying what's going on, and then I actually help them out. And then if they like it, I invite them to get in. So do you want further help? I'll say, "Oh, yes, of course." And then I send a link. Try to guess where. You can get
To
them
their
more.
DMs.
For where?
Straight to their DMs.
No, it's on their DMs. I'm talking to them on the
Yeah.
DMs. But if I
Yeah.
talk to them, they like what I share. If I'm being helpful, and if they want more, try to guess where I send them to.
Oh, your funnel.
Yeah,
The application. Yeah.
the application. So no VSL, no fancy webinars, no launches, no challenge. No, no, no. Just a form with the 4 questions. That's it.
It's perfect.
That's it.
It's
Right?
so easy.
Yeah. And then they follow they fill the form, right? And then I read the form, and then I send another audio. Say, hey, I saw you think you're right fit because this, and that. So I show proof that I read it, right? So I show that I care and say, hey, do
Hmm.
you have any questions about the program? Or are you ready to start? Some of them say, well, I'm ready to start. Because here's the deal. Whenever they follow like a 400,000 follower account of someone that they think that they can help, most of the times they won't ever reply. I reply.
Hmm.
They won't help. I help. They won't invite for something. I invite for something. They fill a form. They know that when they fill a form, they get ignored. That's what happened most of the time. I read the form.
Just doing the work, you know?
Of course. And
Yeah.
people go crazy. When I share my model, say, oh, it can't be simple like that. Sorry, it's simple like that. I know people like
Hmm.
fancy and complicated funnels and blah, blah, blah. That's not how I roll.
I like that. You got to keep it simple. There's I don't know if you've heard this acronym, but it's KISS, stands for KISS.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
keep
yeah,
it
yeah.
simple, stupid. It's
Yeah,
a great one.
of
Yeah.
course. And simple scales, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've touched on a little bit of your traffic. You said you do some boosting and some paid ads. You obviously do organic content, and you're posting on a regular, which is huge. In terms of your nurturing, you're actually reaching out and having conversations with these people, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. Do you have any um, freebies or any kinds of things that you do in that capacity, or do you stray more toward the paid stuff? And before we jump into that really quick, I personally have found that I prefer the paid stuff because it helps to weed out the people who are actually going to be serious about committing to something, even if it's just a low ticket item.
So for several years, there was no way to join my list if you were not a paid client. But I realized that the people that I admire and the people that grow the most, they have lots of free entries for their newsletters. And I end up signing up for several people's newsletter and end up buying. So if you go to my webpage, there's a way to subscribe to it. And it's something new. Not that's not how I build. So every time I people ask me something, I share what I'm doing, but I always compare to what I did back then, right? So I did a bit more than $10 million the last 3, maybe 4 years. So a lot of stuff that I'm doing now is not the way I got to the 10 million mark. It's stuff that I'm trying out now. So if you ask me if I have some freebies and opt-in opportunities, I do. But that's not how I grew the list. I grew the list back then with the summit, the freebie, the freemium thing. It was free to attend for a week, and then you'd had to pay. So I used to do that. And the email newsletter thing is a huge part of my strategy. For several years, it was only for paid clients, right? But now it's open, and I email them every day. Remember, I have a nice team, right?
Yeah.
So every day there is at least one email coming from my mail list to their inboxes, right? But here's the thing and the confession. I don't write any of those. I don't even remember the last time I wrote an email. But at the same time, there is no words on my emails that I didn't say or end up make someone made up for me or wrote on my voice or any of this bullshit. Here's the deal. I do a once a week podcast. We are at episode 200 something. Every week I interview one of my clients. I don't invite my friends, I don't invite my colleagues. No, no, no. I only invite my case studies, my clients. So I have a huge wall of testimonials, like more than 200. And my team picks those podcasts, my lives, my contents, the things that I create myself, and then they repurpose on email format. So I don't write, I don't type the emails, but whatever is written there, it's something I said on a speech, on an interview, on my podcast, on a Instagram live, on my stories. Does it make sense? So
Yeah.
every day there's an email. There's no obligation of CTA. There's no clear call to action on every email by itself. So they just need to show on people's inboxes. I deal with people's inboxes as a feed, as an Instagram feed or LinkedIn feed. I just need to be there. It's just like a reminder, like a remarketing. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. So every day I'm here. So sooner or later they might, right? Just realize that I can help. And every mail I use, do you know Dean Jackson?
That sounds familiar. Remind me what he does
Yeah,
again?
a nice guy. He's very good at email. So he's a friend of mine, a mentor of mine. Actually, I went to his mastermind in Orlando. I love the guy. And he's also on Joe Paul's Genius Mastermind, Genius Network. I invest a lot in groups like that because I really realized that all those investments I make, they always come back to me multiplied because it's very hard not to find one idea that pays for the whole year. Doesn't make sense. So I
Yeah.
met this guy, Dean Jackson. He created something called super signature. So all my emails, my team shares whatever they want to share, and then there is the super signature. So something like big hugs, Victor, right? And then there's a PS, and the PS is whenever you're ready, here's the ways I can help you out. And then there are links for my program's application forms. Or there's just like a one small headline for each. Like if you're doing less than 7 figures a year, here's how I can help. If you're doing more than 7 figures, apply to my mastermind. Just reply to this email saying mastermind. And then all my emails, even if they don't have like a specific CTA, there's always the super signature. So I always have a chance of them on the other side reply and say, "Hey, I want to know about the mastermind." Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
good.
something I do.
Yeah. That's it's really important to have that. I mean, I've seen it from time to time. I'll use the analogy of not necessarily emails, but like at least reels, where I've seen people who have had videos that they've made that, they went viral, got millions of views and stuff like that. And then when you actually click on their account, it was one of the few that did, but because they didn't have a CTA, they still have less than 1,000 followers. And it's
Yeah,
a wild concept to think about that, you can get that attention, you can nurture that person, and then they completely disappear because you didn't have that clear call to action, which is
yeah,
great that you have it in at least a signature because that's
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure that helps a lot of people. So that's great.
yeah.
So as we get closer to the end of the podcast here, one of the questions I like to ask is, what is the best piece of advice that you have, be it in health, wealth, or relationships, throughout all of your life's experience that you would leave to humanity, if you will? Like, what is that one big like thing that you've learned?
Okay. I believe Christ is God, and I believe life is too short for you not to make it worth it. So I believe we need to be bold and make it worth it because we only have this one chance. That's
That's
what I really
beautiful.
do believe.
That's awesome. And believe it or not, I've heard that exact same message quite a few times. It goes to show that we got a lot of great people in our community here, which is fantastic. So I love that.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah. So previously you had mentioned where people can follow you. Do you have a place that you'd like to send them in addition to that?
Of course.
Maybe your newsletter? Yeah.
Here's a confession, right? I share about a bit about my numbers and the 10 million award and all this stuff and my following in Brazil, 435,000. Sometimes in Brazil, I feel like I'm Superman. That's the truth. I send an email, I sell. I sell an event, it sells out. I fill my groups 10 years in a row, it's working. But when I see my international reach, I'm just at the beginning. And this year, I started a small group coaching in English. So it's been a challenge because I only have 8 clients so far, and I don't have a profile in English. And here's why I'm not doing it. Some of my clients in Brazil, they see an objection when I share something. They say, "Oh, it's too simple. You only have results because you have such a huge audience." And then I started this small coaching in English just to prove a point to my people in Brazil. I could get my first 8 clients without even have a profile, without even creating content in English. This is my second podcast, this one, John. Thanks for having me and inviting me. So here's the
Yeah,
deal.
thanks for making the time.
I, thank you. I want to grow international. I know that I can help my 8 clients. They're having results. They're enjoying. But in Brazil, I feel like I'm Superman. In US, I'm still Clark Kent. So I have a web page. It's victordamasio.com, VICTOR victordamasio.com. It's not amazing as my .com.br in Brazil is, but I'm starting. So it's very fresh to be at the level I am in Portuguese and at the beginning of a journey in English. And it keeps me humble, keeps me connected to struggles that my clients face in Brazil. So I have this 30 people team, but I'm not involving them on the international side or the
Mm.
least possible because I want the story of bootstrapping this international endeavor by myself somehow. So yeah, if you just go to victordamasio.com, I'd love to know more about you and fill the form. Try to guess. There's 4 questions in there, the same I share in here, but
What are they?
whatever. Just fill it out because yeah, I want to get my hands dirty and I want to collaborate and I want to yeah help more. And if you want to write me on Instagram, I'm Victor Damasio official with just one F. It's in Portuguese, but I read English. I can speak pretty decent English. So if you write down to me, even though I have a huge following, it's me myself that are gonna answer back to you in English. So if you reach out to the end of this, if you got to the end of this podcast, I want to know you. Just write me at Victor Damasio official with one F at Instagram and let's stay in touch. Maybe you can add to the description of the
Yeah,
video.
for sure.
Cool, John.
That'll be great.
That's all.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for your time, Victor. I learned a lot today, and I believe anybody who watches is going to get a ton of value from this. So thank you for your
I hope
time. It's been a
so.
pleasure.
I really enjoyed. Thank you for having me, John.